Welcome back to another episode of the Real Estate Playbook. This week's guest is Tabatha Pankop. Tabatha, how you doing today?
I'm good. I'm exhausted. It's like what? 1:30 already. So.
Is it even 1:30, 1:40?
Yeah, I know, right? Who's counting?
It's about nap time, right? I could use a nap. I'm running around all day.
It doesn't stop.
So obviously you're been a guest before on this podcast. We kind of did initial questions: why real estate? Why you got into real estate? How, a little bit about your background, hospitality, and kind of how you use some of the skills that you developed through the hospitality business to correlate into transition into a higher level of success than most realtors get right out the gate. Why don't you talk about us? Let's do a deeper dive, but on a higher level today.
Sure.
One thing that I've noticed is you are building quite the social media audience. So why don't you talk to us a little about that journey? How did it start? What are some things that you're doing, and what do you do to build that audience?
Oh, okay. Yeah, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. I started doing TikTok, but I don't know. Everything fluctuates with views and stuff, but I kind of just copy and repeat. I forget what they said at Tom Ferry about, like, you steal, like, content and then you repeat it, but you kind of do your own, like, feng shui. I watched a lot of different realtors through all different states, and I kind of just vibe and get what goes from them, and then I kind of just put it in my own like style and what works for me. I like a little bit of comedy and kind of simplicity and keeping it real with how I am, my personality. I don't like to have it super fake, and I want it to be a little bit more realistic and just kind of have like that sense of people can kind of, what's the word I'm trying to say, can
relate.
What
I'm hearing, I'm going to sum it up, is it sounds like you're putting authentic content out.
Correct.
Right. And you're somebody who likes humor, likes to have a good time. So you're kind of bringing that in, but you also want to get the information to your clients.
For sure. Yeah, absolutely. I try to keep it as simple as possible, but informative. And I'm still working to educate myself and build a better way to keep people knowledgeable, but not be overwhelming and like in a sense of, this is all I do. I want to keep my life as well as personal and real estate kind of combined together.
Just to get to know you on a personal level, but obviously you as a person sell real estate.
Right.
So 100%. So why don't you talk to us a little bit about,
do you have a certain discipline or time schedule that you kind of stick to where you're going to do the post? Is it kind of just, hey, when I feel like posting something, I'm going to throw it out there?
Kind of, sort of both. I tried doing things like that, and then I've gotten really busy lately. I have those moments where I get really, really busy and then it's slow, but I do try to record some videos, and then I've learned on Instagram that you can set them at time frames, which is really dope. And then there's certain time frames on certain days you should put and things like that. There's a whole way social media works. And then I also use different Canva, Agent Crate, and things like that are really dope, that kind of give you that sense of making it more cleaner looking. That's what I'm also trying to focus on. And I can put those templates on certain time frames, and then they post while I'm out driving, working, doing things like that.
That's awesome. So, having the experience, I know a lot of the things that you just brought up, the social media sites, plus all the tools you're using like Canva, Adobe, things of that nature. If you're an agent, they're probably overwhelmed on what you just said. They're like, what the hell are you talking about? I know what Instagram is, Facebook, TikTok, Twitter, but Canva, Adobe, all these things, might have gone a little over their head.
Right.
How did you start learning? Where do they begin? Where does somebody start to learn all these programs, processes, and how to intertwine it with social media?
I just talk to different agents, and they kind of tell me things, and I kind of just sponge off of everybody, and then I kind of just modify it to how I like. But I do a lot of researching. I listen to podcasts, things like that. And then just other agents telling me, like Arlene over here, she told me about Agent Crate, and it's bomb. It's really nice. So, and then there's
that? I've never even heard of it.
So Agent Crate's kind of like Canva. They're connected. It's basically like how I do a lot of posts, how I like to do pinks and creams and things like that. So it gives me a way where it's already says just listed, just posted, pending, things like that. And then you can kind of change the font, but they're pretty much simplified to make it where you can just put your picture, your email name, and they already have your phone number, your name, and email in it. I kind of changed the fonts, kind of modified to my liking, and then they save it too. So, and then they have things that educate about new construction, and they show you templates that you can create 4 templates in a reel. And then it switches to Canva too to kind of modify that. So some of the templates convert to Canva.
That's awesome.
And then I use aesthetic realtor something like that. I forget, but there's a few different forms I use, but they do cost. So I think it depends on what level you are and where you're at on your money and things like that. So I do pay for a lot of my own marketing out of my own pocket.
Right. But when getting into it, you probably started just on the social media sites.
For sure.
And then evolved throughout time.
Right. But I try to keep my social media very clean, but I don't want it to be like just real estate. I like to put a little bit of humor. So my social media is all over. It's not just like, you know, very blank canvas. There's a lot of character and
got a lot going on.
Yeah.
Which is a good thing because somebody's not getting bored or they're just seeing a new sold house or you with a balloon letting it off at closing or something of that nature, right?
Yeah.
So when you kind of went into social media, like obviously you went with the intent of trying to get people to know you on a personal level,
Sure.
let them get to know you. What impact has it had on your business?
So right now, like I'm getting to the point where I'm getting referrals and people are following me. I'm finding realtors on like different social media platforms that are giving me referrals to, like, I have a friend that needed to sell her mom's property up in New York, and I found a really, really good agent up in College Park in New York.
Okay.
But they ended up going with the brother's friend. But I do find a lot of agents up there that are really good in social media, because that's where I think we're going in this form of real estate. It's social media.
I agree.
There's a lot of younger people coming in, and the older people, of course, are kind of going away because they're retiring. So that's where social media is at right now. And just that's why I find a lot of my referrals.
So you're not only picking up buyer and seller referrals, you're actually developing yourself an agent network of
Correct.
like-minded agents doing the same thing.
Right. I follow agents throughout the whole country. I have quite a few, and I'm actually busy, but I have a kind of vision where I want to do a video of us throwing keys at different states of different agents, so they know that I have a connection.
It's like almost like your network video.
Correct. Yeah.
That's cool. So yeah, you could do something like you know, keys throughout the U.S. or something, and kind of have something where it kind of has like a slogan to kind of go with it, and it's you just in like-minded realtors kind of cross-referring each other business.
Right.
That's an awesome idea. In addition to that, so obviously I've seen you doing a lot with social media, building your brand, building your business. But also I think one thing that I always say for an agent is, yes, we can do a broad scope of business, right? Like you're still doing businesses outside of this, but you're also creating a niche for yourself.
Yeah.
Why don't you talk a little bit about that?
So I had a lady reach out to me. She called like a ton of realtors, and she was like, I need an agent in this community, which is 55 and older, like co-op kind of community, which is a little bit different than your traditional real estate. There's like lot rents, and then there's shares, which that comes into more of a detailed kind of aspect. But I came out there, did a listing presentation. I've sold 5 so far in the community.
That's awesome.
And I'm paying for her and my marketing as part of just like, hey, you scratch my back kind of situation. But overall, it's been really amazing. I had a listing appointment yesterday. They called me out of nowhere on Zillow, so that was nice. It's kind of competing with other realtors in there. But at the end of the day, like, if you choose me, it's honor. If you don't, it's business. I understand. You know, the wife's a broker over in Vegas. But I do pay for the marketing there. They get a flyer. But I've sold a lot of manufacturers previously, so I kind of already had that understanding and knowledge about it. And it's a whole different ballgame when they come.
Absolutely.
And I like manufactured homes. They're super simple. Most of them are cash, and they're super easy. They're just a little bit more complicated than your traditional single family on a foundation slab.
Yeah, I think that comes really when you get into the financing aspect of it.
Oh, for sure. Most of them can finance, but some can't, depending on the age. You know what I'm saying? So you have to have a little bit more education, and you just don't throw yourself at it. You got to understand there's so much more than just like you selling it, you know?
100%. And what made you kind of go after that niche? Did you see a need for it, or did it just kind of fall in your lap?
It fall in my lap. I got a call that one of my first listings was a manufactured home and a holiday, and then my sign kind of brought more buyers, and then that came more of my cycle of referrals, and then I got the connection with the community down in Bradenton, and that's
awesome.
given me more business outside of that. So I've been working a lot in Bradenton a lot lately. So
that's quite a drive for you, right?
Yeah. I need a flying car for sure.
100%. So then, if somebody kind of wants to go over a niche and develop that, regardless of what that niche is, what are a couple tips you'd give them when starting out the niche? Obviously, I know service of the client, the clientele kind of expanded in your situation. But what are some things you would tell them to look out for? And then what are some also things where to make them the expert, right? Like I'm sure you know a lot more about manufactured homes now than most agents.
Yeah.
So what are some things you did? Was it just from experience of the sale, or did you actually start doing a lot of research on your own to become the expert?
So experience, of course, like there's tie downs, vapor barriers, things like that. And then you can't sell anything with financing if it's 76 or older. They might have changed to 75, but anyways. And then when I came into the community, I got in touch with the HOA president. She's super nice, and kind of reached out and spoke to the title company. They also have an attorney involved. So I kind of dug deeper, looked at older listings, looked at the bylaws, read the rules, regulations, know the restrictions.
She did a lot of research.
Yeah, like at the end of the day, like I don't know everything, but when you're listing things on the MLS, you need to know that this community specifically, 2 pets, our maximum like weight combined is like 45 pounds. You can't have RVs. Like there's restrictions, what's included with the HOA. All the paperwork should be in the MLS. I also attached a map because when you drive in there, you're like, how do I get to 253 or whatever, 19? You need to know that. So I put in Canva and I circle and give the arrow, because I had one time my first listing in there. The realtor, I guess, left it review after the showing and said that they couldn't find it. So the buyer gave up and left. And I was like, oh my goodness. Yes. So I went to Canva and put arrows, and I was like, it's super simple. It's saved, and I just re-rotate the arrows in the circle and kind of call it a day. But simple things like that matter. And if you can kind of be advisor is what we call ourselves and educate people, your deals will be much smoother. That's how I think.
100%. And it sounds like you took on that advisory role where you did your due diligence and learning.
For sure.
Really before kind of doing the deep dive in. And then I'm sure as you start to build your clientele, then you're utilizing what you've learned in social media to continue to expand that as well. So if I'm an agent, Tabatha, now that you've kind of come into real estate, you've been doing it a little while, kind of came in at first, got into production, nowhere near the level you are now.
Right.
If you're an agent now, if you were to redo it again, what's the one bit of information that you give a new agent? Hey, do this, and some things that you kind of learn from your history and tenure as an agent that you probably would have done out the gate that maybe you didn't, but now you know what to do.
So I had no clue at the beginning. I remember Chris calling me and I just broke down. But 2 things. It's not even one thing. And I've been thinking of this hard. I knew this question was coming. 2 things is understand the system. CRM, because you got to understand that, put your people in your CRM so you can kind of revisit them and nurture them. It's conversion. And then second of all, get a CPA, please. Set up a business, because you will get busy and then you will get behind on taxes and then you'll be screwed, basically. No, seriously, I'm figuring that out now. You get so busy and you use and you use your own personal bank account, and then that can be commingling funds, and it's just organize it before you get into the
taxes.
mess. Yeah. You want to know what you're making and netting so you can keep yourself organized, because you don't want to get far in the trenches and then be SOL, basically.
No, and obviously you're going to end up paying a lot more than you would have.
Correct.
If you handled on the front end. So
yes.
I try to, I can tell them all the time, but it's a matter of taking the action and initiative to go ahead and incorporate and do those things.
Find a good CPA, get some recommendations, and get a personal and a business account and a discussion.
Yep. Absolutely. Yep. So Tabatha, for any buyer or seller out there, the Tampa Bay market, whether it's far south as Sarasota County, as far north as Hernando, Citrus County, whether it's a buyer or seller, maybe it's another agent who wants to refer you business back and forth, what's the best contact information for you? If you could give us a cell phone number and an email address.
My direct cell is 813-516-0537, and my email is Tabatha, and that's TABATHA at 54realty.com.
Well, Tabatha, we thank you so much for coming on down.
You're welcome.
It's been a pleasure having you on another episode of the Real Estate Playbook. And we thank you all again for tuning in to another episode of the Real Estate Playbook.